welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 216. Hella. Let's talk about how being the bigger person is overrated, and I'm sick of it. I think it is a setup against good people who are genuine, people who mean well, and they are always expected to be the one saying sorry first or making the first move. And look, I understand the whole, you shouldn't count, right? You know, how many times you make the first move. Like, that shouldn't even matter. It does. Can we cut it out? It does. Like, think about it like this. If you are in a friendship, a romantic relationship, whatever the case is, and you're constantly the one who's always making any move in the relationship, right? Like, you're always the one texting first. You're always the one calling first. You're always the one reaching out first. And none of that is reciprocated, then, okay, that's a big deal. Anyway, how do we get to this topic? This topic is starting because today has been a day, y'all. At the time of this recording, today has been a day. And I want to start off by giving myself praise. Yes, I want to start off by giving myself praise. Praise because praise is what I do. I love that song. No, I think that's Donnie, is it Donnie McClurkin or Fred Hampton? Anyway, I'm giving myself praise because I realize I am an effective communicator. I am an effective communicator. I communicate effectively. I make my points clear and succinct. You can't manipulate my words. I'm very educated and just intelligent. I'm a smart ass bitch. Like, I don't have to LOL you to death to make my point. You know how some people like to, when you're in the middle of like a high rise type of conversation with that person and they try to act like they're unbothered, right? It doesn't faze them and it's all good. So they'll put an LOL or a laughing emoji during the text exchange. And it's like, what the fuck is the joke? Why are you laughing? We're talking about like something totally like not funny. Like, what? No one said a joke. And you realize the only purpose behind LOLing and inputting a laugh emoji is to derail the recipient from thinking that they're so bothered, right? And in fact, it's actually proving the fact that you are actually really bothered and you're not playing it well. And one thing about me, I'm gonna be calm. Like, I'm a calm, and I love that about myself. I really do. I love how calm I am in moments of conflict, in moments of stress. And it's funny because internally, I'm not that calm. Internally, my heart is beating. I really don't enjoy conflict. I don't enjoy confrontation. I don't enjoy high intensity moments. I don't enjoy emotions like I like a chill, calm environment at all times. And you know, unfortunately, we live in a world where that's not the case, right? Not every moment will it be chill, especially in the type of job that I work, you know, the people I interact with on a daily. Not always will I have opportunities of consistent relaxation. And that's okay, but I just have to, you know, be mindful of how I manage that. But for the most part, I maintain a calm exterior. So let's get into it. A relative reached out to me after realizing that she could see my Instagram stories. Y'all, this conversation is going to be so fucking dumb. And I'm starting off by that descriptor because I recognize how dumb this conversation is, right? And again, with the unfortunately thing, we live in a society where a lot of people put stock into social media, right? You know, people are making an abundant amount of money on social media. People are social media influencers. They have an extensive amount of followers. Oh, I got this many likes, all these things. I'm not that girl. I'm not. And even though I have a podcast, right? Like, I probably should be that girl. I probably should be very tactful and strategic when it comes to my social media presence, but I really don't give a fuck. I really don't. Like, I really do this for me, and whoever fucks with me, I love it, right? I really appreciate anyone and everyone who fucks with me, but other than that, like, I'm not doing this for clout. I'm not doing this to be the next influencer. I'm just me. And if you fuck with me, I love you. And if you don't, it's cool. I don't care. Like, none of this is real. Like, my voice right now probably isn't even real. Like, do you hear, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think we just get so flustered with things that have been marketed to us as a big deal. And in reality, it's not. In the other realm, it's not. In the other realm, is not. Like, I don't live in this world. I really, I know I sound like a very ethereal right now, or ethereal right now, but seriously, I don't live here. Like, I'm just passing through. And so for us as human beings to really care about fucking Instagram just makes me feel embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed that you are so up in arms that I am not engaging with you on social media the way you want me to. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so anyway, someone reached out to me and shared her disappointment nonetheless as to why I do not engage with her on social media. And she was sharing how, oh, I can see your Instagram story now. Now, let's talk about social media etiquette real quick. Social media etiquette. What I mean by that is there's 3 different things to look out for. When it comes to social media, when it comes to Instagram in particular, there's muting, there's blocking, and there's hiding your story. I'm doing one of the 3 at some point in our social media relationship. If I don't care for your content, but I don't really want to like unfollow you, like I still fuck with you, but I really don't care about what you have to say. Your stories don't engage me. I don't find you interesting, at least online. Your online presence don't move me. And you constantly post things that I just don't care for. Instead of me getting mad about the things that you post, instead of me requesting for you to not post that anymore, like, who the fuck am I to tell you what to post on your Instagram, right? Instead of me doing that, I just mute you, right? I just mute what you have to say because I don't care. I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't want to hear or see what you have to post. I don't want to. So I mute you, okay? Blocking. What is blocking for? If I don't fuck with you and I notice that you're always looking at my stuff, you're being nosy, we probably had a fallout, but I haven't gotten around to like, no, if I'm blocking you, no, we had a full on, okay, I'm confusing blocking with hiding your story, and we'll get to that part. So blocking is, yeah, if I don't fuck with you, right? Like maybe we had a fallout and I blocked you, but maybe I didn't unfollow you yet. Like, there's a difference between blocking someone and unfollowing someone. Ultimately, you're unfollowing them, but ultimately, because if you block someone, they can't see your profile. Like, you're invisible all of a sudden. Or no, they can't see your profile, but what comes up is when they type in your name, it shows 0 posts on your profile, even though you have like 300 pictures and videos on your Instagram. Anyway, but if you're being blocked, it's either because we had a fallout and we never reconciled. Or yeah, it's really just that. We just had a fallout, we never reconciled, and I'm probably still pissed. Okay? Hiding your story. So this is something that I feel like some people are not familiar with. People are familiar with blocking. People are familiar with unfollowing someone, and maybe even not as much as muting. But with hiding your story, I would say out of the 3 in total that I've said, hiding your story is the least of people's awareness, right? And what hiding your story is, literally me hiding you from my story. So like my Instagram story may be available to everyone else but you, because I just don't want you to see my shit. Like, but I don't want to not post my stuff, but I don't want you to see it, right? Let's talk about this guy from work who I had to eventually hide him from my story because this nigga would not leave me alone. Like, it's not even just that. No, there's a couple of people I hid, but this one in particular, I actually recently hid him because it just became too much. Like, why are you still replying to every one of my Instagram stories? Like, not everything do you need to engage with. Like, at this point, you could stop. I'm not trying to influence you. I'm not trying to be your influencer. Stop. But what he would do is he would, not only will he respond to every story that I post in my Instagram story, he would send me these clips, these random clips. Mind you, we're not in conversation. It's not like we picked up a conversation from a while ago. No. And you're just randomly sending me stuff. And it's not like he's saying, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. No. He's just randomly sending me clips. I haven't spoken to this guy like in person because I don't see him for work anymore. We're not on the same campus, but I haven't spoken to him in so long. So it's just weird whenever he does reach out to me. It's always in the message of a clip, of a video clip. And it's always in a reply to any one of my stories. And his reply will be like sketchy, kind of like, oh, you went to the without me, or just like, stop. Can you stop? I'm sorry, sir, can you stop? I'm not interested. And I've made that clear to that guy. Anyway, it's just annoying. So niggas like him, you'll hide your story from, right? And so that's what the purpose is for hiding your story. Okay, now that we have gotten social media etiquette out of the way, let's talk about this specific situation here. So I blocked someone after realizing that she blocked me. Hello? Yes, tit for tat. Titty for titty. I'm that girl. It doesn't have to be a conversation. It doesn't have to be I just want to understand, or I don't know why. No. Blocking you back. It's cool. And it's good. And it could literally just be like, okay, cool. Like, okay, cool. Okay, cool. You know? Okay, cool. Anyway, so what happened? So anyway, I actually I blocked her after I realized she blocked me, like I said, right? So I found out that she blocked me from her Instagram story because I was with a mutual friend of ours who was on her Instagram, like she was looking through her phone. I was literally physically with this mutual friend of ours, and she was looking through her phone and she was going onto the mutual friend's, the relative of mine, Instagram. And I'm like, oh wow, I never saw that clip. Who's that? I didn't realize it was this this person of mine. And so she's like, oh, it's on her Instagram. I'm like, really? And so I tried to go to her Instagram to see that specific Instagram story, or just to see her Instagram story. And I couldn't. I had no access to it. And I'm like, oh, I can't see it. It didn't pop up on my timeline. And when I would go to this person's direct profile, it didn't pop up either. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. And so our mutual friend, she said, oh, she blocked you then. I'm like, really? That's what that means? Because I didn't realize she did that, right? So I didn't know the etiquette at that time either. And so I put two and two together. I'm like, oh, so she must have blocked me, because I literally can't view her Instagram story, yet our mutual friend could see her story, and I'm watching it with her physically in real life right now, but I can't watch it on my phone. Okay. So after that moment, I decided to go ahead and just block this person. Like, okay, well, not block her from my page, but block her from my Instagram story. So I'm like, okay, well, you blocked me from your story, I'm gonna block you from mine. It's cool. That's fine. We can go ahead being blocked from each other's story. Let's go. I'm that girl. Titty for titty. Like, let's do it. What's up? What's next? So anyway, probably towards the end of the summer of this year, mind you, the blocking happened like months ago. I want to say like last year. I feel like I don't keep track of time. Like, what is time? Like, what is it even time? Like, what's time? What's an hour? Whatever. So anyway, it happened a while ago. So just a couple of months ago, during the end of during the end of the summer, I had this like epiphany, not even epiphany, just like this aha moment overall. And I realized, I've been holding on to a lot of grudge. Remember I talked to you guys about that? I was on this podcast talking about how I decided to just let go of grudges, let go of hatred. I was still ruminating over failed past friendships that I've had, and I was just still like going over scenarios in my head of those former friends of mine, and just still holding on to that negative energy. And I just realized, you know what? That's not me. Like, I am a loving person. I do love to love. I love to be in love. I love to give love. I love to surround in love. Why am I allowing this hate and this low vibrational energy to fill me up and drown me and, bring me down? So I decided to think about what are some ways that I am holding on to anger and all these things. And I realized that blocking, I had a whole list of people I blocked or hid from my story or muted, whatever it was. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to let y'all go from this hatred in my heart. I'm going to let y'all go. So I did just that. I decided to go through all of the people on my list and unblock them all. Unhid them off of my story, except for that one guy I told y'all about. But everybody else got unblocked and unhid and all these things. Now, for the muting, though, I mute for my own peace. Some things I just don't care to see. If I don't like your content, that's fine. Like, I am well within my right to not care to engage. Like, it's not a fucking big deal. I don't care if you're family or not. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, what is family? No, I'm kidding for that part. But seriously, if I don't care about your content, regardless of you being my family member, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna trash your content, but I'm not going to like always be up on you when I don't care about. I just don't find it interesting, Anyway, so what happened? So okay, whatever. So I had this aha moment. I decided to just like let go and let love, right? So then she realizes that, oh, she could see my story now. And so she reaches out to me via my DMs and was like, addressing the fact that she could now see my Instagram story and how she was wondering why I blocked her. So I explained to her, oh, well, I'm happy to see yours too, because you had me blocked as well. Like, what are you talking about? So then we're going back and forth, up and down. And the words that she used, the tone in her texts were very blaming me, like, well, you. And I said to her very clearly, very straightforward, no. I blocked you from my story because you blocked me from yours. Like, that's it. Like, we don't have to go tit for tat. I'm not gonna keep on I don't even put LOLs or laughing emojis to act like I'm good when I'm not. Like, I'm very straightforward and rational when I'm in a heated conversation, for the most part, at least. And so she was just like sharing her hurt or whatever it was on the fact that I don't engage with her online, and how she feels that to be hurtful. And I engage with, first of all, I don't engage with everyone else. There's some people I engage with online, and some people I don't. No one is singling you out. No one is like, I'm perfect. Like, if I don't care for your content, I don't care for your content. Like, relax. And I made my point about how this is not serious to me. Like, this, like, what are we talking about? This isn't real, number one. But I said basically, like, this doesn't really mean much to me. What means much to me is calling, is talking on the phone, is texting me on my phone. That is more genuine, in my opinion, than this Instagram bullshit. If Instagram went away today, what would we do? Huh? Will we lose our minds? Suddenly our friendships on Instagram don't mean anything because you forgot to call me instead? You forgot to use your phone to call someone? Is Instagram your only source of contact? Like, what are we talking? What is life here? Like, this is 2022, y'all. Like, I'm not of this world, dog. I'm not of this world. I'm not supposed to be here. Like, what is happening now? Because the fact that we had a long, withstanding discussion about this, and I'm making my point very clear, like, no, I blocked you after I realized you blocked me. It was in that order, and she's denying it, and I'm standing steadfast in what I'm saying. One thing about me, I'm gonna stand 10 toes down. Period. Pooh. I don't care if I'm alone. That's always been me. I'm always standing 10 toes down. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm not. I'm not. And you will not gaslight me. I'm not wrong. So anyway, how did it end? I mean, it just kind of just like faded. But the conversation was just like very stressful. And I feel like what I admire about myself. Am I playing conceited? No, but like, I think it's important to reflect on your own actions, right? And how you communicate and how you come about things. And I like how succinct I was. I like how succinct I was. I like how I was just very clear in my stance. Like, no, you are not going to play victim with me. You're not. You're not going to suddenly, hide any opportunity for accountability with me. You're not going to put the blame solely on me. And I was just basically saying all those things like, our relationship is two-sided, right? There's two people here, right? So like, as much as you're upset about me not engaging with you online, I could be upset with you about not engaging with me in real life, right? Like, in real life, we don't engage. And then she wanted to bring up the excuse of, well, I always reach out to you on your birthday. What? Of course. I wouldn't expect anything less. And if you didn't, then it's like, okay, cool, you didn't. But like, at the very least, I would expect a happy birthday text. Even if we don't talk for the rest of the year, the one day to reach out to me would be then. So this whole like, oh, but I do. No, you don't. We never talk. We don't talk. We don't. And it's not on some beef shit. It's just like, we just kind of went our separate ways. There's no there's no ill will to it. And I just find it so laughable that she wanted me to just apologize or be so sorry and just saddened by how I made her feel for not liking her Instagram post or not responding to her Instagram story or not viewing her story. Oh, I'm not viewing. You have me muted. Okay, and what happens next? I just want you to be honest. I just wanted some closure. Over Instagram? Like, what are we? Oh my God. I want to just jump off the roof and fly, because the gall in people sometimes, the gall that I have to find myself conversing with topics that are just foolish. Though, do you know what's going on in North Korea right now? Do you know what's going on in North Korea? And you talk about Instagram and me not liking your fucking post? Get the fuck out of here. Like, can we stop? Like, be happy you have water. Be happy you have electricity. Be happy you could even post online talking about, oh, I'm not being, I can't. I don't even want to go back to the DM, because I wanted to go through them real quick to kind of just give you guys a picture. And maybe if you hit me up on my DMs and we cool like that, I'll talk to you separately. But I just don't even want to. You know how you just go through a conversation with someone and it's high intensity, and you just don't ever want to revisit that anymore? Like, there's no point in recapping. There's no interest in wanting to kind of go back and look. Oh, what did I say? Oh, I said this. I said this right. I said this right. I don't even want to do it. Was just a lot. But you know what? Again, I want to give myself praise. I really do, because I stood 10 toes down. I was very clear. I didn't have a moment of vomit or diarrhea with my words. You know, sometimes when you get so caught up in the intensity of a conversation, you just like spill over more words than you need to. I didn't. I was very clear and succinct. One thing, again, succinct. That is the key word here. Whenever you're conversing with someone, be succinct. Get to the fucking point. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You know, so I just find it to be laughable. I feel like it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed that we had this discussion. I'm embarrassed that we had this conflict. Mind you, we've had this discussion years ago. I remember it was at my cousin's house, Joanna, who passed, who, she brought up, not Joanna, but the other person, she brought up the fact that, oh, I don't like her post, I don't engage with her on, again, saying the same thing. And I'm like, what? Again, this has been me. I've been her. I've been this. I've been she. No, but like, I've been this girl. I've been the same woman today as I have been in 2017, in 2016. Like, I've been her. I don't care about this stuff. I'm just on here to just be on here. But like, I don't take stock or weight in our friendship dependent upon your Instagram engagement with me. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I don't look at things that way. But again, like, some people are not as philosophical as I am. Some people are not as ethereal as I am. Some people are just very, very on this earth, like very like foot to the ground, very grounded, while I'm floating in the air. Like, I'm not even here right now. Like, my voice is this really my voice? What's going on? Like, I'm not, and that's okay, right? That's okay. And I kept on stressing that stuff. I was like, the way you look at things, that's how you look at things. And the way that I look at things, that's how I look at things. I find more genuine of a exchange when I am engaging with someone via text, via phone calls, or via in person, however that could be possible, considering she doesn't live here. So that's where I take my stock at. I don't take it personal when I'm on Instagram and I'm not engaged with someone on Instagram. Like, I don't feel like you don't fuck with me. Like, my mind doesn't go there. And instead of her trying to understand my point of view, she's trying to like blame me again. And that's the thing. Like, no, I'm not going to take I reject that. I reject this notion. And one thing about me in an argument, like, I'm gonna make you feel dumb. Like, I'm gonna make you feel like you make no sense, or like, this is what are we talking about, right? Like, I'm gonna make you feel like this was the stupidest moment of our lives right now, and you initiated this, and you started this, you did this. No one brought this up but you. Now we're in this stupid moment because of you. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, again, the world that we're in is sad. I want everyone to just get high with me. Like, I don't even smoke. I don't. It's just so funny because I know that she's, some people are smokers, right? Some people are engaged in the marijuana. And so to be so high strung about something like this, something that's not even real. Like, I remember when Dave Chappelle said, Twitter isn't real. He said it in one of his comedy specials. And I just like, wow, you're so right. It's not real. It's not. We're mad at these bots online. We're mad at these avatars. We're mad at these, 30 characters in our tweet. Like, what? You could turn it off. Like, you could create the timeline of your choice. If you don't want to see someone's Instagram story, someone's Instagram post, you are well within your right to not see that. Like, don't let anyone pressure you online, in person, at all. Don't let that happen, because I just find it just, again, the gall of people to really feel like they are well within their right to tell you how to be, when it comes to stuff like that, stuff that isn't even real. So again, I want to give myself kudos. Today has been a day of effective communication. I have stood 10 toes down in all of my conversations and interactions today, at work and on this damn Instagram. So I want to give myself praise because, wow, conversations that are high intensity, they're intense, right? They're not. And even if it's a stupid ass topic as Instagram, unfortunately, you have people who don't see things the way that you do, and it's fine. Look, and the unfortunate part, though, is the fact that people don't respect the difference in perspectives. People feel like if you don't see things the way that they see things, then they find your thing or your point of view to be stupid and judgmental or whatever the fucking word is. I just feel like that's judgmental. I've said several times in our exchange that, hey, it's okay. It's okay you feel this way. It's okay. That's your perspective. This is my perspective. And this is what it is. Like, you're trying to make me see things your way. Not even make me know. Because I see how you see things, right? I see how this is that's what I mean. I see how this is your perspective, but this is my perspective, and it's different from yours, and that's okay. And I feel like her stance was to make me denounce my own perspective, and for me to just like kiss her at her feet and just make her, feel like she's like it's a right or wrong thing. What I'm not going to do is that, and I'm going to hold you accountable, because just as much as you feel like I am not engaging with you, you're not engaging with me. It's not. And I thought about it too after, even during, I said it to her too, but as if she has been like messaging me all the time, and I'm dodging her, right? I'm ducking her. Like, girl, no. What? This is so dumb. And I'm sorry, y'all, for even talking about this. Like, this is. Anyway, let's move on. Jarrett and Ayana, I think that's how you say her name, from Love is Blind season 2. Child, let's talk about this. Okay, so apparently the divorce has been finalized. It is official. They are now a divorced couple. There's a couple more coming out divorced as well. So their divorce settlements for those couple, like I remember the other guy, the one with the girl who had like super strong anxiety. It was that white couple, but they are getting a divorce. I remember months ago reading that they are getting a divorce. So probably around this time, their divorce will be finalized as well. Anyway, so Ayana, there was a video of her on my Twitter timeline of her crying and upset because she's thinking of the woman who, and she's describing herself. So she's speaking about herself in third person, and she's saying how she's crying for the woman who was at the altar and really hopeful for this marriage. She's crying for the woman who really believed in the love that they shared. She's crying for the woman who believed in the man who was going to just be with her and love her, all these things. And she's crying, whatever. And she's literally crying. And she was sharing how, she didn't say his name, of course. Maybe that's some legality too. But she was just saying how, Jared, he didn't love her the way that she wanted to be loved, that the way that she thought he was going to love her. And there's no accusation of him cheating on her. People will quickly go to that, oh, he cheated. No. If you watch that season, you see very clearly they are both incompatible. And that's just it. That's the end of the sentence. They're just incompatible. And that's okay. Again, going back to perspectives, you could just be different, right? You don't have to be like someone else. You don't have to follow the same protocol as someone else or the same mindset. You don't have to do any of that. I feel like the thing that you could come into terms with someone is the way you communicate with that person, right? If the recipient feels like you're being disrespectful and you're calling them out of their name, or you're raising your tone and raising your voice at them, then that's something that could be discussed and arranged in a better way to communicate, right? So that's fine. But as far as just who someone is at their core, who the fuck are you to try to make someone feel bad for being themselves? And I'm not even really making this about Ayana. I'm not. I'm kind of moving off of that. But I think it's the point of the fact that you have a lot of people responding to this video. And of course, with her tears and her cute button face, she looks like a doll, right? Oh my gosh, she's so broken and she's so down and out, and Jared broke her, and Jared, they're immediately painting him out to be this villain, this bad guy. And I just feel like that's fucked up. Because did he beat her? Did he fucking beat her? Did he put her in the closet and lock her there and didn't feed her and fucked her from the back whenever he wanted to? Did he beat her? No? Okay, so what the fuck are we talking about? What are we talking about? You mad because he's coming home late every night? So I'm good. That's kind of a big deal, right? No, look. And that's the thing when you are an introvert and you're dating an extrovert, right? You're dating someone who gets energy from being with a mass amount of people. You get energy from being the party, the star of the party, the show, all of these things. And I just feel like what is the problem for that? What is the problem right now? And so I just feel like ultimately when you have two types of people, complete opposite, who are in an intimate relationship, maybe it's not a great thing to be with someone like that, right? And it's not fair to paint the other person as a villain for that. Let's bring it back old school style to Leprechaun Bay, okay? Remember Leprechaun Bay? I talked about him a couple times. He is an ex-boyfriend of mine who I have discussed on this podcast a few times. And so I Was in a relationship with him for 1 year. And this was like fresh out of undergrad for me. This was like my first adult relationship. So I was 22. He was like, I don't know, a couple of years older. So the thing about him is he was very much an extrovert. Very much an extrovert. Like, he always loved being around people. He always invited friends over his house. Whenever I would chill over his house, which was a lot during our relationship, he would always have a couple of his guys over or female friends, and he would have female best friends. I mean, we could talk about female best friends, right? Like, and mind you, at the time I was young, you know, I was very much just like insecure in, I guess, the idea of a boyfriend and being a girlfriend. And so, again, this was my first adult relationship, so I'm giving myself grace. But there were some things that I wasn't as mature about as I am now. So, yes, I do believe that man and woman can be friends. You know, I guess. Look, my suspicions about them, though, was accurate. You know, come to find out, he was fucking his best friend, but that's neither here nor there. We're moving on. He was a big ass extrovert, okay? This nigga just loved fucking talking. Just like, and mind you, obviously I love talking too. Here, hence the podcast. Hello? But no, his level of talking was just like, nigga, shut up. Shut up. Enough, Kanye, enough. I've had it. And that was him. That was Leprechaun Bay. He had to be the only one talking. He was dominating conversations. He had to be the one who had the last word. He had to be the one who's right. Like, he was that type of person. So not only was he extroverted, but he was a fucking asshole. And he was a Leo. And I mean, for a while, I really thought all Leo men were like this. I really did. Until I met another Leo guy. I was like, oh, you're totally different. You're actually you're actually a good guy. So I think it's so foolish to really like paint people in these categories just because of their zodiac signs. It's like, what? But I mean, in some cases, it does paint true. It definitely does paint true, but generally it's still stupid. Like, we should have generalized people. Like, not all black people, you know, eat fucking watermelon, you know. Anyway, so nigga was an extrovert. Like, just like extra, just always fucking extra. And at the time, I was realizing like, hey, I'm kind of introverted. Like, I didn't know that language back then. I didn't know introvert, extra. I didn't know that language back then. And I was learning it early at that time. And it really made me realize that it's funny because I have extroverted tendencies. So I would say I'm an extroverted introvert, right? So I'm a bit of both. And an ambivert, that's another version of saying the same thing, that I'm like right in the middle. But I really take pleasure and joy with my alone time or with my one-on-one quality time with my partner, with my guy. And so shout out to Freckles Bay. I love time with him. But, you know, for the most part, like, you know, I view alone time differently than others or differently than extroverts because, again, extroverts find joy or pleasure or their battery fulfilled, their social battery fulfilled when they're with people. And look, that's fine. Like, that's, again, people are different. You have to respect how people operate, and that's totally fine. But I realized, like, yeah, this is not gonna work because this nigga is always on and I like to be off. I like the lights off. I like, you know, dimness. I like the shades down. I like to fucking be quiet. I really do. As much as I talk, this is a lot. It really is. Like, me talking is a lot, y'all. Like, I have to talk for a living. We all talk for a living, right? I get it. But like, I really do. I gotta talk for a living. I gotta present for a living as a teacher. Like I'm always standing up, presenting, putting on a show, dancing for these niggas. Like I'm always up there. I'm not behind a computer doing some IT shit. No, and it's just a lot. So in times when I get to relax, I really find joy and pleasure and energy from that. So being with him was just a lot. I remember there were times before I will head up to his house. I'm about to say apartment. The reason I'm about to say apartment is the way that his house is set up. The way my bank account is set up. No. The way his house is set up is 3 stories, and he's the landlord. And so he has tenants in that same building in which he occupies. So his house, so the whole building is a multi-unit. It's his house. This is in Boston. So if you're familiar with Boston architecture, there's a lot of multi-unit family homes. So he owned one of them, or he owns I don't know now. I don't know if it's different now, but at the time, at least, he owned a multi-family home. And so within that home, he resided in one of the units, and the other units were occupied with tenants. So when I will walk up to his unit as if it's an apartment, knowing who he was and how fucking extroverted and so much energy, and he actually had ADHD, or has, unless it changed, right? Unless it progressed to schizophrenia. I don't fucking know. But anyway, he told me that he had ADHD and how he takes medication. I feel like at that time, that should have been enough for me to be like, oh, okay, I gotta go. Oh, okay, I gotta go. Gotta go. Am I going to hell? Is it hell? That's my next stop. Is that my next stop? Anyway, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So anyway, every time, right before I would enter his home, I would have to brace myself because I knew the type of time he was on. It was always just fucking something, just exhausting ass energy for me as an introvert. So, and that doesn't make him a bad guy, when it comes to that. At least it doesn't make him a bad guy. And going back to this whole Jared and Ayana situation, I feel like it's sucky that many viewers, and there were a few people in the comments who agreed with what I was saying or who was of the same sentiment. So I like that. But it was annoying because you have people just generally painting him as an awful person and he sucked the life out of her. Like, the girl is fine. She's having a moment of grievance, and, she's grieving the loss of this marriage. The bitch is fine. She'll be okay. Give her a little bit some time. But to instantly paint this guy as an asshole and whatever it is like, did he beat her though? Did he lock her up in a closet though? Is everybody okay? Oh, everybody's okay? Oh, okay. Stop it. Like, can we stop it now? So it's just that. I just feel like it's just very cheap and ridiculous for us to just get mad at people for being who they are. That's it. Like, if he likes to party a lot and come home late, that's what the fuck he is, dog. Like, he needs to get a girl who likes to party a lot as well. He needs to get someone who can handle him, right? And maybe, honestly, I think sometimes men who are like that would rather their woman to be the opposite, though. So if he could find a woman who's opposite to that, but is okay with him partying and hanging out with his boys a lot, then cool. Like, again, I think they just weren't compatible. And even like outside of that, though, I felt like overall, like, they didn't have the chemistry that you would like to see between two people in a romantic relationship. Like, it just felt kind of forced. And if you knew the context of how they got together, she was essentially his second choice after his first choice denied him. So there's that. But okay, like it's just y'all didn't even have chemistry in the first place. I feel like she was just making things more than what it was. I feel like, but I wish her well. I think she's a sweet girl. You know, my energy is not really towards her. My energy is towards the fact that people responding to the situation and immediately painting Jared out to be this bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's an extrovert, and that's okay, right? They just weren't compatible, and that's okay. You know, I wish both of them well. Like, it doesn't have to be like them getting a divorce doesn't have to be this horrible moment. Like, it's okay. Like, get a fucking divorce and move on. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know. Like, I don't like people like imposing their beliefs onto you. You know, imposing what they believe is acceptable for you in your own marriage. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Are you married to me? Oh, you're not? So what do you care? And look, I get it. They're both public figures, so of course they're going to be subjected to people's opinions. That comes with the course. But I think just overall as a society, we have come to a point where we feel like we are so entitled to people's lives and to how they should go about things. Like, no. I mean, I'm saying all this and I have a podcast, so it's hypocrites. Okay, so Howard Stern calls out Oprah, and he says that Oprah is or should be embarrassed by her wealth when posting her wealth on Instagram. And look, it'll be one thing if Oprah was just like very what's the word, tacky with it, right? Like, I think it's tacky to have a money phone. I think it's tacky to just like lay in the bed of cash. Like, I feel like, okay, what are we doing? You know, or lay in the bathtub. You know, when Tupac did that, I think, you know, of course you gotta do that for the shits, right? Shout out to Tupac. I think he's still in Cuba. But for the most part, I don't like stuff like that. You know, I don't even like talking about money like that. So I get it from that point. I never want to come across braggadocious. I never want to come across insensitive when it comes to financial anything. Like, I really do feel sensitive about money and just how money really has been marketed to us as our way of feeling worthy about ourselves. So I do find some level of understanding with why Stern said what he said. I just feel like, I don't know why he randomly called her out, you know, her being a black woman. I just immediately went there, and not to be like this woke liberal with that, but it just felt like he was saying, this black woman, how dare she boast about being a billionaire? How dare she? How dare Oprah boast about being the first black billionaire? And, you know, I felt like he was coming from that standpoint. And I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just being biased, but I just didn't feel like it was okay. Like, first of all, Stern, you're worth $100 million. Like, literally, I read through an article, and it showed that he is worth $100 million. Now, Oprah's worth a bit more. Not even a bit more, a lot of more, because she's a billionaire. But he's not fucking broke. Okay, he's not broke. He's not, you know, panting for air. This nigga is fine. Okay, so I don't know if he's jealous. You know, maybe he feels like he should be the billionaire. Maybe he feels like he should have the estate that she does. And that's a personal problem, right? That's a personal problem that he has to deal with. But to make it out like she is not, you know, she's not right for talking about, or not even talking. It's not like again, he made it seem like she was laying in a fucking bed filled with dollar bills, y'all. And that's not the case. You know, she wasn't. There's just videos of her walking through her estate. Estate is the word that we're using here, because it's not a fucking house. She's living in an estate. She's Oprah Winfrey, as she should. You know, she's worked hard for her money. She has pioneered broadcasting. She is relevant as fuck. Like, I mean, look, she deserves how much she has. It is what it is. So to down her for that because, oh, well, there's poor people in Africa. It's like, girl, come on. Like, there will always be poor. Like, unfortunately, there will always be poor people or people who's poor, right? Like, there will always be people struggling while the rich are filthy with it. Like, that's just, unfortunately, just how this world is. And to single her out as if she could be the sole savior of the economic downfall and the homelessness problem. Like, no, like, leave Oprah alone. Let her walk through her winery and in peace. Okay, Ye said something very interesting as of late, but as of the past couple of months, you know, consistently, he's been on his shit. You know, protect Ye at all costs, formerly known as Kanye West, because the way that he's going about things, I don't know. I think his life may be in danger. I do wish him well. Yeah, I think he's interesting. Child. Anyway, he was on Alex Jones's show, InfoWars, and I need to watch the full interview. But there, of course, is a viral clip out, and, you know, people will immediately go off of the buzzwords that he's using. And in this clip, he specifically says that he sees good things about Hitler. And he also just generalized it just in general. He sees good things about anybody. Like, just because a group of people wants for me to discourage the name of Hitler doesn't mean I will kowtow to that. And I'm paraphrasing that, of course, but he did specifically verbatim say he sees good things about Hitler, and that every person has something of value, you know, and he says specifically, especially Hitler. And he doesn't believe in classification. You know, Ye has been a born again Christian, and he really believes in loving everybody, just as Christ loved the church. So he is really about going about life Christ-like. And one of the tenets of being a Christ follower is to love everyone. Love your haters, love your lovers, like, love people regardless. Now, to many, this may seem radical, right? You know, especially with Hitler and these, like, buzzwords, right? You think of Hitler or you say Hitler, you better look around before he pops up with that mustache, because you don't want to say his name. What he did was heinous. 6 million Jews. 6 million. But anyway, I'll go down that rabbit hole another time, maybe on the Patreon. But ultimately, him saying that statement and specifically calling out Hitler, especially with the recent of takes that he has had about Jews and, you know, Hebrew Israelites and blacks being the real Jews. Actually, no, I'm conflating him with Kyrie. But, you know, he did say something about Jews with that whole tweet, you know, going DEFCON auto, which is slang, but nonetheless, it says death in it. You know, you can't say death next to Jews, right? And also him calling out that Jews are the gatekeepers in Hollywood, you know? So him saying this about Hitler makes him look even worse, right? It makes him look even more anti-Semitic and yada, yada, yada. Let's broaden our perspective here. Let's look beyond the obvious. You know, I always like to say that, y'all. Look beyond the obvious. What is he saying here? I think everyone feels this way, right? Everyone knows a murderer. Maybe not a murderer, but, like, you know, someone who did dirty, right? Who either raped someone, who even raped you, right? You know, you may have had a family member who raped you, who fucking raped you, but you still love that person, right? You still value that person in some way, right? You know how weird that is? I know it's even weird for me to say that, but my point is, we love people in our very direct lives who has done heinous things. Yet, because of the different factors that they play in our life, right? Because they're your brother, because they're your father, because they're your sister, because they're your son or daughter, you still unconditionally love that person. Even if that person raped you, even if that person raped someone else, even if that person robbed people, you still love that person. That person is still seen as your baby boy, your baby girl. Or he was never like this with me. How could he shut up a whole school? He always came to Sunday dinner and always kissed me, you know, on the cheek after I served him a plate of food. How could he ever shoot a mall up, you know? Right? How could he ever shoot a mall? My son would never. The point of what I'm saying is, you have, like, we're complex. You know, who I am to you, my dynamic with you may be different than someone's experience with me years ago, right? Maybe I was in a different headspace years ago and I had a horrible relationship with someone and maybe I treated that person poorly. So that's that person's lasting impression of me. But the people today, the person today who I'm close with, who I'm surrounded with, they may see me in such a beautiful light that they can't even imagine Maxine being this bitch 10 years ago. They can't even imagine, right? But that person, that former friend of mine from 10 years ago, can imagine because they know how I treated them back then. So again, my point is, we're different to different people, right? Our experiences with people are different. So, I mean, what he's saying, I think because Ye has, I don't know, I've said on here that he doesn't articulate himself the way that he could to make his words more digestible. I think that sometimes is the case, but I think because he is so frank, because he is so straightforward and maybe harsh with his words and delivery, of course people are not going to receive it, or many people are not going to receive what he's saying. But does that mean what he's saying is any less true? You know, it's hard to digest. Like, it's hard to digest saying there's good things about Hitler. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He killed 6 million, quote unquote, Jews. Okay, but his mother loved him, right? He had a mother before he did those things. Maybe he was a good guy. Am I about to get caught up in the cross right now? No, but like, before he did those things, he was a good guy to somebody. His mother probably loved the shit out of him. His mother probably said, oh my gosh, my son is the best. He's so kind. He's so caring. My son could never. But he did, right? So again, you could be good and bad to people at the same time. We're complex. Okay. I'm going to wrap it here, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. One quick thing. Okay. I said I was going to wrap it up, but let me just talk about Will Smith real quick. Enough, Will, enough. I forgive you. Should I just say that? Will he move on if I just forgive him? Oh, I forgive you for slapping Chris Rock. I forgive you. We're done. Enough. Enough with the tears. Enough with the self-reflection. Enough with the talks of, I've realized I'm a flawed human being. Okay. I realized I'm hurt. I'm still hurt from my father who abandoned me 35 years ago. I'm hurt. Sympathies go out to you. Enough. I forgive you. Can we move on? Okay, so Will Smith has a movie coming out called Emancipation. It is a slave movie I will not be watching. I wish everyone well, okay? I wish everyone well. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. I have 17 subscribers now, y'all. Every time I get it up, I'm going to make a little shout out because, look, I appreciate every subscriber. So shout out to you if you have subscribed. If you haven't yet, do so now. Do so now. Go ahead and type in God Built This Podcast on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button. Engage with me on there as well. Leave a comment. Like the videos. Okay? Also, be sure to be subscribed on other platforms such as Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of that. So thank you so much for listening, and I will check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. If you liked it, leave a review, share, and subscribe. God bless.